What's up everyone, it's Brian from Peak Level Performance. Today we're going to go over a warm-up routine. I usually do this routine before any of my workouts or before I participate in sports. Obviously these are just guidelines, so go ahead and add anything that you feel like you need, any exercises, any movements you feel like you need, or feel free to take anything out that you don't think you really need to get warmed up properly for what you're doing for that day. As you can see, I'm wearing all my sweats. With it being so cold outside, I like to make sure that when I'm warming up, my body temperature gets up, get my blood flowing, make sure that my muscles are nice and loose, as well as my joints. So let's get it started.
So the first thing we do for a warm-up is just a simple jog, probably about 10 to 15 yards. We follow those up with some high knee skips. I like to call these the Super Mario jumps. Notice that as one knee goes up, the opposite hand goes up. Do this for about 10 to 15 yards as well. Next are the high kicks. Try your best to keep your legs nice and straight and also to stay nice and tall so that you're not bending forward with your upper body. Notice again that when you kick with one leg, you're reaching with the opposite hand. Next up is a variation of the world's greatest stretch. You're going to start by raising up one knee, pulling it up nice and close to your chest, then stepping forward into the lunge position with your knee on the ground. You're going to stay nice and tall. Whatever knee is on the ground, you're going to lift that arm on that same side into the air and bend to the opposite side, holding for about 3 seconds to stretch out that hip flexor. Next, you're going to drop both hands to the ground on the inside of the front leg. Then you're going to raise the back knee off of the ground, pushing your hips down to stretch the hips and the groin. After about 3 seconds, you're going to turn away from the front leg, raising the opposite arm up into the air, opening up the chest and stretching out the upper back and spine. For the last part of this stretch, you're going to have your hands on both sides of the front foot, raise the hips up into the air and try to straighten that front leg to stretch the hamstrings. You'll hold each position for about 3 seconds and then move on to the other side. Perform this series about 2 to 3 times on both sides. Next is a quad stretch and reach. While stretching the quad on one side, you'll reach up nice and high with the opposite arm. You'll also move onto your tippy toes on your standing leg to warm up your calves and your Achilles. Now we'll do a 10 to 15 yard lateral shuffle with an arm swing on both sides. Make sure there's a slight bend in your knees and also to keep your chest up. We'll follow that up with a 10 to 15 yard karaoke on both sides. Instead of going for speed, try to get that crossing knee up nice and high to loosen up those hips. Next, we'll do the step over reach stretch for the IT bands and the outside of the legs. You'll cross your leg over in front and reach down to the ground. You'll then step out with the back leg and repeat for about 10 yards before you flip around to do the other side. Now are the crawls. We'll start with the simple bear crawl. You'll have your butt high up in the air, trying to keep both legs as straight as possible. When you crawl, you'll move both the leg and the arm on the same side at the same time. Next up are the Spider-Mans. As you reach forward with one arm, the opposite leg bends and moves forward. Try to stay as low to the ground as possible. These are the tiger crawls. You'll have your knees bent, trying to keep your butt low and back flat. Finally are the inchworms. You'll start in the standing position with your legs straight, reaching for your toes. You'll then walk your hands out slowly until you're in the push-up position. Once there, you'll slowly walk your feet up to your hands so that you're once again in that bent over standing position. Like all the other crawls, perform this for about 10 to 15 yards. We'll loosen up the hips some more with hip circles or high jumps. Get on all fours and trace large circles with your knee. 5 forward and 5 backward, and then repeat on the other side. Next are some glute and groin stretches. For the glute stretch, have one leg forward and bent at about 90 degrees, flat on the ground. Then have the other leg over and stretched out behind. Sit back until you feel a nice stretch in your glute and hold for about 5 seconds. Then move into the groin stretch. While on all fours, straighten one leg out to the side. Drop your hips and sit back until you feel a stretch in your groin and hold for about 5 seconds. Afterwards, you'll repeat the glute and groin stretches on the other side. Now we'll go into a squat exercise. Have your feet slightly wider than hip width and squat down nice and low. Push your knees out with your elbows and hold for about 3 seconds. Place both hands on the ground and rotate your upper body. Reach up high with one hand while keeping the other hand on the ground, stretching out the upper back and T-spine. Hold for 3 seconds and repeat on the other side. Afterwards, reach both hands up as high and as straight as you can, and then stand back up. Repeat for about 5 repetitions. And finally, we'll end with some simple push-ups. Engage your core so that your back is flat and the hips are down. Also make sure that your elbows are tucked in at about 45 degrees and not flaring out during the push-up. Complete about 10 repetitions and then you're ready for your workout. Thank you for checking out this video from Peak Level Performance. Hopefully you enjoyed it and learned a little something new from the exercise performed. And until next time, remember that when you train for strength, safety, and success.